Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome along to a beautiful, absolutely stunning morning here on the Suffolk coastline. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me for this absolutely beautiful day. I hope it is as wonderful where you are. I appreciate you being here. So today, if it's your first time here, welcome. Welcome along. This is what I do. I walk along in beautiful locations like this. It is not always this beautiful, but today it is absolutely stunning. So welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you one and all for, 379 subscribers now. I can't believe that there is that many people that want to come along and join me for this journey, but thank you very much for being here, one and all. So today, the last two videos have been sort of priming for this video I'm doing today. It's one of my favorite subjects. I spend so much of my time thinking about it. And for anybody who's joined me for any portion of this journey, you'd know that The Matrix is my favorite movie. So that leads us to the question, are we living in a simulation? So I'm going to bring up multiple points today. Now, I want you to disengage what you think that you know, because Einstein said, knowledge is limited, but imagination encircles the world. Now, that drives my brain, and things keep on ticking over, and I'm thinking to myself, is this all, as stunning as it is this all a simulation that we're living in, like in The Matrix? Is that what this is? Why do I think that? Why is it not just me? Look at there's a guy called Elon Musk. You might have heard of him. SpaceX, and been one of the original founders of PayPal. He's a pretty switched on guy. He's said in multiple interviews, it leads more and more to the thinking that we are living in a simulation, the more the things that happen. And as we look around the world today, and the craziness that is our world, it's insane. All the events that are happening today, I'm a writer, I love writing, but I couldn't write a script this crazy. I couldn't, and if I did, no one would watch it, they wouldn't believe it, they'd be like, what the hell have you written? It's insane. Which sort of leads me sort of further down the path of thinking this is all a simulation. No, it's not a bad thing. And I'll try and quantify that, shall I? Now, think about it like this, okay? Now, for the people out there who have a faith in God or whatever God you believe in, let's imagine just for a moment that you are a non-physical being. Okay, you're a non-physical being and you have the creative ability to create physicality, okay? Now, as a non-physical entity, you want to feel like what it feels like to experience physicality, but you're non-physical. You are thought, imagination, you are consciousness, okay? Now you want to experience this physicality that you've created, this world, this universe, whatever you want to call this. How do you do that? How do you experience physicality? How do you experience this creative energy, this creative force, if you're non-physical? We have to create something to be able to do that, right? So are we a manifestation of this higher consciousness, this God, or whatever you want to call it? Doesn't matter, whatever name you want to give it. It's all semantics at this point. If you are non-physical and you want to experience this, you have to create to quote another YouTuber who's a genius, I hope I get this right. Your physical meat suit that you walk around in, you are like a radio receiving the signal from this higher consciousness, this source energy, or whatever you want to call it. And the signal is the consciousness that is giving you the physicality, the signal that is making that signal come through. You're the receiver, if you will, like the radio of the radio signal. Does that make sense? So that gives the non-physical, the consciousness, the whatever name, God you want to give it, the ability to experience a physical universe as a non-physical being. Okay? Now, we've seen, science has tried to justify how it's possible to have physics and quantum physics with the grand theory, the unifying theory of physics and quantum physics. The problem is that with physics and quantum physics is quantum physics works with the very, very small mathematical calculations that govern how very, very small work, but it doesn't work on the larger universe, on sort of planets and things like that. Then you have the physics mathematics that works on the very large, but it doesn't transfer to the very small. Things go a bit haywire in the middle ground there. So science has been looking for this unifying theory for forever. Einstein worked on it, they all worked on it. So there's many theories that have been postulated, put forward to explain how that works, how that comes together as a grand unifying theory of physics and quantum physics. Now, there's been many put forward. One of them is string theory, another is multiverse theory. Multiverse means that there are multiple universes and every possibility exists simultaneously, stacked on top of one another. Okay? Different. It's insane. And that explains gravity, it explains, so every decision, every possibility exists simultaneously, stacked on top of one another in this universe, world, whatever you want to call it, that exists simultaneously, that we experience as reality. Okay? Now, there's many things that, I'm going to get back to that, I'll get back to it. There's many things that make me question the reality that we live in as being real or whether it's a simulation. Now, one of those things, when I was a kid, I'm pushing 50 now. When I was a kid, I used to watch then the X Games started. I was big into skateboarding when I was a kid. The X Games were starting. Now, when the X Games started, if people went up and did a 360 on a skateboard, everyone lost their minds. It was, wah! Tony Hawk came along and he was doing 540s and he did a 1120 or whatever it was. It's the levels of what people were doing and the extremeness, the extreme sports, of course, of what people were doing. It's just gotten crazier and crazier every year. Now, it comes back to what Einstein said. Knowledge is limited, but imagination is travels around the world. So the only limit to what we can achieve is our imagination. But where does our imagination come from? Now, linking back to the X Games. So you've got these people that were doing these tricks, 20 years ago, that now seem, inferior to what these people are doing now. You've got people doing triple backflips on bicycles. Back if someone did a backflip back 20 years ago, people lost their minds. But as we go along and people see that what we were always told was impossible, it's not only possible, but you can actually push beyond that. Now, there's a story I keep on telling to people whenever I say the reality that we experience as reality isn't real, and I can prove it. I tell lots of stories and I say, look around you. Obviously not here because I'm on a beach, but if you're in a room somewhere, have a look around you. Everything in that room started as a thought in someone's mind, right? So if thoughts can change physical reality, how real is it, right? So your thought, a measurable thing, you can actually influence physical reality with your thought. Now, where does thought come from? Okay, I'll come back to Roger Bannister in a minute. So where does thought come from? We've always been taught to believe that thought comes from your brain, right? Of course, because that's where all thought happens. It's all coming from your head. It's all inventors come up with amazing inventions, and it all comes from their own brain, right? But then we see, as our world has gotten more smaller, if you will, with the invention of the internet, that we see that multiple places around the world have come up with the same idea for the same solution to a problem in multiple places simultaneously around the world. How is that possible? If imagination comes from my brain, how is it possible that the same thought can come from somebody else's brain in a completely different location at the same time? Are we that signal? Are we that signal that's received by the radio? And if we are, then where's the signal coming from? Where is that imagination? Where is that thought coming from? It's kind of weird, don't you think? Now there's multiple things about that, but we'll come back to Roger Bannister. Now, if you haven't heard of Roger Bannister, and I'm sure most of you have, but I'm sure there's a lot of you who haven't as well. Roger Bannister, before this guy came along, we were told, science told us that it was impossible to run faster than a 4-minute mile. Impossible, physically impossible, couldn't be done. The human body, physically, wasn't able to run faster than a 4-minute mile. It was impossible, couldn't be done, right? Roger Bannister was the first person who did that. Ran faster than the 4-minute mile, broke the 4-minute record for a mile. In the same year that Roger Bannister did it, 4 other people did it. Because once people had seen that that limit was man-made, that we came up with that limit, well, not you and me, but you know what I mean, then once people understood that was only a limit of our imagination, then they did it as well. And it's the same with the X Games. It's the same with lots of different things where people have a limited imagination based on what we're told we can do. And a lot of these things that we think that we can't do are self-limiting beliefs. We ourselves tell us those stories, or our parents, or our friends or family. They tell us these stories of you can't do something because of who you are, your background, your financial situation, whatever it is. I've been told all my life, you can't do things because of, lots of different reasons, of course. Oh, you can't do that because your parents, you don't come from the right family, you don't have money, whatever it is. I've been told all these reasons of things why I can't do things, and then the more people tell me I can't do things, and I want to go out and do it just to prove them wrong, But we are limited in our imagination. And the people who do seemingly impossible things, let's go to Wim Hof. Wim Hof, there's a guy who's seemingly done impossible things. He's ran a marathon in a pair of shorts in the snow. He climbed Mount Everest in a pair of shorts with no shoes on. Okay, he's dived under ice. He's swum in freezing waters. He does seemingly impossible things. Science can't explain it, but he does it, and he says anybody can do this. I'm not special, anybody can do this. And it's just a matter of controlling your breathing and controlling your the things that are getting in the way mentally. So my point is that this whole simulation idea, this whole idea that we're living in a simulation, there's multiple instances that have come to light that I think sort of points towards that we're living in a simulation. Now, I know I keep on going back to it, but The Matrix is, a source of, questioning, where I question things, and I think, is The Matrix really a movie or is it a documentary? The Matrix is one. What was the other one? I know Rick and Morty did an amazing episode where he plays a game, and it's called The Life of Roy, I think, and he puts a helmet on, and he's in the game. He's in the game and he plays his life as Roy, and then he dies in the game and he comes back out and he's like, well, where's my wife? Where's my family? And Rick says, it's a game, Morty. It's not real. It's we are so involved in this reality that we call reality, and we're so sure that we are who we say that we are. But you can be anything that you want. You can literally change your mind and be something else, if whatever you want to be. You want to go and be a mechanic? Well, why wouldn't you? Why couldn't you? You want to be a builder? No, I've been a chef. My job, not who I am, but my job, I've been a chef for 30 odd years. I set up my own building company and became a builder. So one day I was putting my builder's clothes on, I was a builder. Another day I put on my chef's clothes, I'm a chef. And I'm not just talking about jobs, I'm talking about achieving and doing things that are seemingly impossible in a world where we're told there's It's fixed and you can only do certain things because that's the way the world is. And it is this limit on our imagination. But why? Why? If we are living in a simulation, do you think that there's people that know that? And if they do know, why don't the rest of us know? How would people react? How would you react knowing that you're in a simulation? That this is a game? You know, people have told us along the way. Bill Hicks, amazingly, he did an awesome stand-up routine where he said, it's all a game. It's so bright and it's so flashy and you get so involved in the ride. You know, it's a ride. It's a ride. You get on the ride and you forget that you're on a ride. And you're so involved in the ride. It's just all the lights are flashing and you're going round and round and up and down. And you get so involved in it that you forget it's a ride. It's a big game. I'm trying to think of the other movie. Now, here's another thing I'm thinking of, okay? Now, medications, okay? Why do medications work? Now, we're told you have a physical reaction, you know, yada yada. Medicines do this and this and this. They stop these side effects. Then why do placebos work? Now, a placebo, you think in your mind, you think that you're taking a medicine, but you're not really. It's a placebo. It's nothing. It's like a sugar pill that shouldn't have any effect on whatever disease or problem they say you're having. But yet placebos quite often cure people. But is it the placebo or is it people's imagination? Now, let's just imagine again for just a moment that you are a player in a game. This body that you're inhabiting is the suit that you're able to play this game in, right? But you're in a game. Let's just imagine that for a second. You're in a game, you're in a giant simulation created by, you know, universal consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it, to experience this physicality here in this created reality. Now, what does it say in the Bible? God created the world in 7 days. You know, this is, if you have a look at the, I've talked about it in a video not long past, where I was talking about numbers and sound, you know, frequency, energy, vibration, you know, Nikola Tesla, have a look into him. So if this is a creation, and all the numbers prove that, you know, the numbers, you can have a look at the numbers, have a look at the way that the universe is constructed, have a look at the way our physical world is constructed. It's all mathematical. It's all a creation. What, you know, you can't deny it, you know. We have the magical number, you know, it's pi, 3.14, and then all the numbers that come after that. You know, everything complies to this golden ratio in nature. Everything complies to that, not just in nature, but in everything. So the world is mathematical, it's created. Now, whatever method of creation you feel comfortable with, you know, whatever you feel comfortable. I know people don't like to associate this creation with God because they have a negative connotation of God. That's cool, whatever, you know. If you feel more comfortable with someone sitting in a keyboard and creating it, whatever, think that as well. If you think it was just a lucky happenstance, it just happened to be mathematically perfect, good for you, you know. If that's what makes you feel better, then think that, you know. But, you know, this is a created reality. If we're going to call it that, if we're going to call it a reality, if we're going to call it a simulation, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. I mean, these are names that we give to things. And we have these names. Oh, we got a dead seal on the beach here. That's unfortunate. Yeah, didn't make it. Oh well. Yeah, we've got these words that we put to things. Reality. My wife and I argue about the nature of reality all the time. Well, not argue, but we discuss this regularly about the nature of reality. And you know, the word real is the sticking point, because we've got a connotation of the word real and what that means to us, what it means to me, what it means to you, what it means to my wife. We all have a different, you know, interpretation of the word real and what that means, you know. Of course this seems real. Of course it does, you know, but like in the Matrix, and Neo says this can't be real, and he says, well, what is real. You know, it's an electrical impulse interpreted by your brain. Touch, taste, smell, you know, our senses, electrical impulses interpreted by our brain. Is our brain what's interpreting it? Is that just the medium of, you know, how we interpret things? Yeah, so it always comes back to, you know, if this is so real, if this world is real, how do we have such an impact on it with our thoughts, our imagination? And where does that originate anyway? Where does your thought and imagination come from? Are you just a receiving signal for, you know, are you the receiver of the signal from somewhere else? Maybe you are outside of this experience and feeding that information into this game, this reality, this whatever you want to call it, this simulation. Is that what's happening? I mean, I don't know. Like I say, I'm on a life mission to try and understand myself, the world, you know, my place in it, and I'm trying not to limit myself with self-limiting beliefs of you know, who I am, and what I can achieve through it. Because is there really any limit? Is there really any limit? I watched a show a couple of weeks ago with my children where they had you know, blind people with degenerative blindness that were able to cover their eyes and were able to see colours, images, and children were remarkably adept at picking this up as well. They covered their eyes with a special covering. They learned to see without their eyes. How is that possible? We're told it's not. Your eyes is, you know, their eyes are, you know, they're the seeing instrument. So how is it possible that you could teach someone to see not only images but colour through covered eyes? How is that possible? You know? Why am I doing this talk today? I'm doing it because, you know, we are constantly taught from the moment that we're born, you know, all through our adult life, that there are limitations to what we can do. And those limitations are inherent to everybody. But how is it that everybody, you know, that you have these extraordinary people do these extraordinary things, and inventors, creators, you know, create simultaneously the same idea across the world? We have, you know, incredible, gifted people that do incredible things that is beyond the realm of what we think that we can achieve as humans. We're limited. Now, I don't want to believe that we're being manipulated by people, beings in this reality that we experience to limit us. But it seems that, you know, from my last talk I gave about energy and you know, your attention, the law of attraction, if you will, that your emotional state governs your your to attract to you the things that you want or that you don't want. Right? So your emotional state, if you're feeling bad, you know, you're programmed to notice the bad. You know, if you're feeling good, you're programmed to notice the good. It is a program, the subconscious programming, and it is. There's a thing that you can do. It's called neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, where you're programming, literally programming your subconscious to notice things that you want to notice, the positive. You know, that you're programming it to say, I am a good person, I am beautiful. You know, neuro-linguistic programming. You are literally programming your subconscious. You're programming a computer to change your belief systems. Now, the reason I'm doing this today is if you see this as a game, or if you see this as a simulation that you can actually physically influence and have things, do things that are seemingly impossible, that are outside the realm of what we're told that we can do. Now that you know that this is possible, why wouldn't you want to try it? You know, I've spent my entire life trying to do things that I've been told that are impossible. You know, I was told when I was a kid, I told my parents I want to be on the TV. They said, people like us don't get on the TV. You know, so the day that I did it, I called my mum. You know, I did a live interview on TV between Australia and the UK where I was here. I called my mum and said, yeah, did you watch the interview? My mum was crying. She was, oh, I can't believe it, you know. I spent my life trying to do things that are seemingly impossible to prove a point that, you know, I'm just a guy from a small town in west coast of Australia. I don't come from money. You know, I'm not wealthy. Everything I've done in my life, I've done it with you know, a lot of hard work. You know, and I've had a lot of people around me help me along the way. But you know, I wanted to do all these things just to prove a point that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what your background is, it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter, you know, all those things that we're told, the limiting belief systems, they're irrelevant. If you believe that you can do it and program yourself that you can do it, then you can do it. You can. It doesn't matter what it is, you know. If you want to achieve the impossible, you can do it. But it's all down to your imagination, what you think you can do. But don't think like from the Matrix, you're faster than this. Don't think you are, know you are. And it comes from a deep place of knowing, because you can't think, you know, like in Star Wars, I think Yoda said, do or don't do, there is no try. You don't try and do something, you do it. Now, there was a study many years ago. There's a lady who came out of university with a degree in statistical analysis, I think, one of my favourite subjects again, in statistics. And she wanted to understand what made successful people successful, you know, and from different backgrounds, different jobs, different things that they did, what made them successful. So some were doctors, some were entrepreneurs, some were, you know, they were all different fields. And she wanted to understand if there was a common thread that made all these people successful. Okay, so she wanted to understand if there was one thing that linked all these people that were highly successful in their field together, right? So she interviewed all these people, asked lots of questions, and she came up with one thing that linked them all together. Everybody and everything was linked together in their success by one thing and one thing only. Do you know what that was? Tenacity, grit. They never, ever, ever gave up. They never gave up. Didn't matter what adversity they faced. Some people, you know, there was a guy who had a plane crash. He was told he would never walk again, and then he walked. You know, and it's your level of commitment. Most people are not committed to anything. They just go along to get along, and you know, it is what it is. I'll never achieve, and you won't. Henry Ford said it best: if you think you can or you think you can't, you're absolutely right. You know, it is, if you want something and you understand that this reality, this world that we experience is reality, if you look at it like it's a game and you can program yourself with different rules, like in the Matrix, you know, this game is programmed much the same as the Matrix. Some of the rules can be bent, others can be broken. And I'm not talking about breaking the law. I'm talking about, you know, breaking the rules of what we're told is possible. The reality is, there is no reality. Anything is possible. It's down to your imagination. So is your imagination getting in the way of where you want to go? That's the question for today. So this that we experience is reality. This game, this simulation, you can control it. You can control the rules. You can control your place in it. If you dedicate your time and your energy and your tenacity and your just one focus towards where you want to go to, especially if you're helping people and you're doing it for the right reasons. If you just want to get on a big boat and sail off into the sunset, I mean, it's pretty pointless, but you know, you can do it if you want to. We are coming to a time of what we call the Great Awakening, where people are going to wake up and realize that we've been manipulated for a long, long time, millennia, by people that want to keep this knowledge from us, that we can achieve anything that we want to. We're coming to that time. The Great Awakening is happening. The Great Awakening is happening. Be part of it. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Get out there, do some good in the world, be positive, do some good, be good to yourself, look after yourself, get out into the world, share some love, and you'll change the world through your actions and through your thoughts and through your thinking. All right, I love you all. Thanks so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Take care. Bye.